All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hope everyone's having a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. U.S. had a holiday. Some folks had a holiday. Not everyone was off today, even in the U.S. And markets are really looking weak right now. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at our markets here. Futures are pretty red. It's been quite a while since we've seen futures this sold. But when you look again, you zoom out, look in the bigger perspective, it's barely noticeable. But we do know that the cycle is likely coming to an end soon. And I'm just using the futures for now since that's what's moving. As you can see here, this is the April cycle on the futures, about to go lower, right? About to break trend. And that would correct the April cycle, which is what we still expect. Another leg lower in the cash market, which would still be part of the April cycle correction. And we expect the correction, could go pretty deep, right? Could go pretty deep. Let's take a look here. We're looking for somewhere, I think, my estimate is somewhere here and somewhere here, 45,000. But as you know, by Elliott wave theory, it can come all the way back down as long as we don't break below this level here. That would allow an extension in 5 and 5 to continue, and the market could go higher. Now, if we don't do that, that means the grand super cycle in the Dow is over. And what that would mean is this is a massive flat top on the grand super cycle. That would create an A wave, a first wave crash in C. My guess is the way this that scenario would look, somewhere around break the April lows. The first leg down A would end here, and then we would rally for quite a while, perhaps 5-6 years of choppiness to higher, maybe something like this, perhaps even coming back to the high, and then another big wave down and a flat, something like that. That's what I suspect how the grand super cycle will end, if it ends. A lot of people on the internet expect typical zigzag, where you come down, you bounce, and you just keep going down like that. Okay, that's a depression. That's another Great Depression. That's massive deflation. Okay, this scenario is inflation. It's like the 1970s. It's rotation. It's not everything goes down. Some things moan as this pumps. And then once those cycles peak, then everything aligns and crashes in the Great Crash, similar to 2007, just a higher time frame. So that's what I think. This is the grand super cycle, if it ends, path. And then the other path, which is right now the preferred view, is a pullback against April and still get more upside in the grand super cycle in 5 for another push higher. It looks something like this, and we top. Okay, then we top. If that were to occur, then the Great Depression crowd may have a fighting chance, because then the rotation would have already happened. You would have everything pumped. There would be nothing else left to buy. Everything would be overbought, and then perhaps you can get the straight down crash, Great Depression crash, if this scenario happens. So if this happens, I don't think we get a sideways bear market. I think we get a crash like 1929. That's what I think right now. So we have expected a pullback. It looks like tonight it starts. However, we know the market can be tricky. And if we look at our count, at least on the cash market, we could see, based on where we closed, we could see weakness of another, looks like a couple hundred points at least, going into this box, maybe even 400 points. Ironically, that's what we're down, 400 points. So there is a possibility this weakness gets bought. The people cannot control themselves on open, and this gets bought up. It's faster than you can blink. And then you get this pump here. And then you finally top. Now, that's why I said it looks like we're starting the correction, but we haven't. We haven't yet in the and so to officially call the correction, to begin it, we need to break this low at 48,853. So we would need to open somewhere around, looking like somewhere around 358, 454, 5, a little over about 550 points down. So if we can get five, and again, the futures don't correlate to the cash, but you're looking at 550. Let's just say 600 points down, then the B is in. Okay, it's done. If not, there's this possibility for a flood of dip buyers to come in the morning, a bunch of taco type news, everyone chickens out on their threats, and the market gets bought once again, and it rallies, and the bears are pulling their hair out because it didn't happen again. So just understand that, and then when you look at this pattern here, you have a left shoulder, a head, perhaps you're going to make a right shoulder, continuation pattern, out. Okay, the reason this could be bid here is because the sequence is not quite finished on a corrective cycle or flat. If we were to finish here early, then this isn't a flat, in my opinion. It's not a flat, it would be an impulse, and then that's a smaller correction. Still probably comes back to this area down here, but would be more likely to go higher and not fall. Some people think this is a fifth wave with an impulse that would have ended. This would be 4 and 5. However, I don't like that view, and I've said that before because it can draw a simple trend line right up here, and then you could see in 3 waves you broke the trend line. Okay, and RSI completely reset at that moment on all time frames. So to me, that's not a 4 here. It's not a 4. It's actually the whole cycle. And I think that's where sometimes people with Elliott waves fool themselves and they get too caught up in counting the waves. And this is why we use in our system RSI to help ground us, not just Elliott wave theory, because the RSI gives us some guardrails as well that is independent of the theory to narrow down possible ways to label the wave. So that's kind of where we are right now. So we'll see what happens. I would say right now it's kind of, I wouldn't be, believe me, I would not be surprised if we see something like this happen. I would not be surprised to see something like that happen, and then we top. You know what I mean? So that's just the Dow. We won't look at the others. I'll go into your questions, guys, and let's take a look. And like I said, I'm glad I was able to fit this live stream in and be able to do this today. All right. LAES, we're looking for another leg lower. And when we look at the RSI, it's starting to elbow down. The daily cycle starting to cross over. It's very close to a turn. The 4-hour as well. I suspect the peak is in at 495, and the next leg lower has started, and it will take a pretty nasty spill as this essentially breaks, and we could see somewhere down around $2. Litecoin ETF, we expect more downside. Had this charted here. We're just going to label it in 3 waves because we don't have enough data. So we have 3 waves, and then we're looking for 3 more waves. We have 5 waves down, so that means we need another swing lower. So we're going to put B here, and then we're going to have 5 waves down here, and then 2, and we have 5 down. And now we're rallying here, so this could rally more, but I would expect more downside. The target would be 1282. Litecoin's count, very difficult count for a lot of people that count Elliott wave to probably be able to do this. We have 2 options. We can call this a flat off the grand supercycle, 1 and then an A, B, and C, where this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get 5, and it breaks this low at 14 and goes lower, probably into the single digits. I don't like that view because we have 5 up here and not 3 up, with RSI helping us, showing divergence. And with that being said, we have 3 down. Now, looking at this structure here, this is where I think is very confusing, very complex. But I believe we have 1, and then we have a big flat, another A, B, and we're finishing C here. And we're trying to finish that up. And just kind of looking at it here, trying to see here. My update may have lost my update. I'm trying to think if I have it here. Yeah, I still have it. Okay, I was worried I lost my update because I updated this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then we're finishing 5, and we should come back to the 50, high 40s. We need to hold 40.32. If it doesn't, this is invalidated, and then it's the flat, and then you're looking at single digits, mass capitulation, whales blown up, and you finally get the shakeout of Litecoin that's, I think, in some ways desperately needed, which is why it's doing what it's doing. Maybe this is enough, but this could be a fallen knife, and I can be wrong, so do what's best for you. I would be waiting to buy it on a confirmation of a low. I would not be looking to bottom fish this. DYL is pumping higher. We have a breakout on this, it looks like, based on our last update. So when you look at the monthly cycle, it looks like it's just breaking out with our latest data here, as you can see, breaking out. And so my guess is it's on starting the next leg higher, and this flat here, and it's now extended. So you can kind of see this count, and you can kind of study it yourself here. But basically, I updated it to 3 waves instead of 5. That's, I think, fits it better. And we're looking at it for one more high, and then once this is done, it may never go back here again. It could collapse and go to 0. So there's no guarantee. So sometimes people follow me and we go higher, and then it starts to collapse and they get mad or angry. I can't, like I'm telling you, once you go higher, it's it. It may never come back again. I can't make it go any higher because the sequence is finished. Once the sequence is finished, it may never make it back to these highs because it's a go to 0 stock. Okay. This ETF basket, I love this materials ETF. This is a great learning for traders and investors, because you go back in time. Where was the dot-com bubble burst? Right, 2000 to 2001. It's hard to even find it here, but there, March 2000, right there. At that moment in time, that's where the dot-com bubble burst. This is all it dropped. Look at this sector ETF. This is all the drop you got. Hell, it even held the lows. Look at that. And then as the dot-com blew up and all these other indices corrected, look what this did. This is called a rotational bear market on the indices, guys. This is probably how the grand super cycle is going to end. Okay, if you had the mindset back in this time frame that everything will crash, sell everything, and it's all going to hell, you would have totally missed this move. You would have missed it. But guess what? Our members will never miss this move, our lead members, because we watch this. We're rotating into this type of thing. Okay, so this is why when people are saying the grand super cycle is coming to an end and there's a super crash, just keep in mind a sector like this can still do that. Look at that. That's what I'm saying. This is what and you got to understand this. And sometimes people don't like when they see this type of information because it goes against their way they have thought about the market for the whole life, that everything just goes down and up. But we always say market trades in multiple dimensions. And these sectors like materials and energy are such a small percentage of what is in those ETFs and stocks at the indice level. They can do something like this and it has almost no effect on the SPY. because they're so underrepresented in those ETFs. That's how this is going to happen. That's what's probably going to happen when the grand super cycle ends on the indices. Understand this, guys. Okay. Now, getting back to our chart, as you can see, look at this chart. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, someone could say, well, is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Why don't we label it that way? Because our peak momentum is back in, in the 1990s. Look at this. This is where this was his peak momentum. Wave 3 usually has the peak momentum. So we haven't seen it yet. Because what's going to happen is this is going to come out and it's going to take out all those peaks one day. Just like it did here and here. Then you know you're in the 3. This is why this is a sector that you want to think about rotating into. Okay, in any pullback. Any pullback. Because it hasn't seen its best days yet. You think it has, it hasn't. Now, shorter time frame, it's going to be hard to see. I'm going to try to do this on the daily time frame. We have a 1, 2, and now you only have 3 waves up though. So we're seeing this in the material sector, I think XLB as well. You've got this problem right here. It can still be a flat on 2. Now that would be really vicious of the market and real nasty, right? And this could happen to copper and the XME and some of these other sectors. Okay, guys, where it does something like this, right? This would be a deflationary growth scare. This would make sense based on a recession, like a surprise that comes out of the market that doesn't see anything, see it coming. So look at this. This is possible. Now you've already made the higher high, so this will be bought, and for a massive pump afterward. Why would that happen? I don't know. Who knows what the news is? Maybe there'll be stimulus. Maybe the world will print, money, or China's stimulus. Who knows? But there it is. That is possible in this sector. That is possible in this sector, guys. Okay? So just know that this is possible. Now, if we can make a 4 and a 5, then that's not going to happen. And it's go time. It's go time. Okay? And so we don't know. So not enough data. It's too hard, too tough to analyze some this because of the illiquid nature of the chart. But this is it. I mean, would I be trying to time the market here? No way. Would I be looking to play the long game and accumulate if someone's dumb enough to sell into this, for some reason? Hell yes, I would be a buyer. But I would be playing the long game. Long-term investment. This is on my portfolio for long-term investment. It doesn't look like it's too late, but right here at this moment in time, you could be taking a lot of risk if you get caught up in a flat because you lose a lot of money right away. And you have to watch your account go down, back down. And it would fall rapidly if it's a flat. So it would be, so that's why it's tough. When we covered this before, we were trading down here, I think. So hopefully you're okay on that. The oil and gas is kind of similar, coming out in a 1-2. In the oil sector, there's a lot of fifth waves. But we have not decided yet if it's going to extend or not. We know in Elliott wave theory it does a terrible job predicting extensions. Many Elliott wave traders who trade the count would short here, and then if it extends and this becomes a 1-2, 1-2, they get blown up. So while I show this, energy is not really decided yet its path. Okay, it seems likely that we're going to get a pullback and correct this cycle. But again, why would you try to time the market on something so bullish long term? You just want to be stacking it up, stacking and playing the long game. If you're trying to trade in and out, it's not the right. These are long-term opportunities that are in your face right now that most investors are missing. Okay, next is gold. We did gold before. It was going up, and it sure as heck did that. Now we're in a 5, and we're seeing that bearish divergence. So Gold could have a pullback, but look at all the 4s and 5s yet to happen. Look at that. So again, much more upside is coming in this ETF. You just broke the all-time high in the ETF, which is kind of a head scratcher to me. I'm not sure what's in this. I don't know what's in the select gold. It's probably gold miners and some other stuff, but it just broke its all-time high. So that's a good sign. And this also shows the higher high. Once you make a higher high like this, it always almost guarantees another high. But look how long you had to wait to get that other high. Look, you had to wait a decade of a bear market, but it did come back in the end. The higher high eventually, came through for you, and now you're going to get the benefits of that. And I don't know how far it will go, but I would just hold on tight. It looks like you've got 4s and 5s. SOXS. I had this chart earlier, and I believe we're very close to that point where it should turn. We haven't seen the confirmation yet, though, and we're close. When I look at some of the sector, we've erased divergence. So any second, any moment, perhaps tomorrow, and that will be a low. I would like to see a clear breakout, and then of course the first pullback. That would be a nice opportunity to buy it against that low. I don't like bottom fishing bearish ETFs, but this looks pretty close. I mean, when you look at this, it looks like 5 waves down here. And let's take a look here if we can count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it looks like I have 5 there. Let's go to 45-minute. Erase divergence a little bit here. Let's look at the 15. Yeah, so it extended this wave. This wave extended, and it was a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. One more low. So I think it needs one more low. One more low. If I was doing the count, if I was trying to be super anal about the count, I think it needs like one more minor low to finish all the swings based on what I'm seeing right now. But it's close. I mean, it's very close. Like any moment. I mean, it's really tough. But best strategy with bearish ETFs is wait for the bounce and then buy the first pullback. If you don't get a pullback, well then, you just don't buy it. Like here, you could see that bounce. Look, this is an example. You see how instead of like guessing, you wait. Okay, boom, you got this breakout. That's correct in the cycle. So we're going to buy the first pullback. There's your first pullback. We're just going to buy that against the low and then look at all that easy money. That's how we do it. That's how you buy the bearish ETFs, guys, and UVIX and stuff. You can't just bottom fish this stuff. Okay, you have to wait for that breakout and then buy the first pullback. You can never go wrong. We did that with the elite group with FAZ. It essentially went straight up. It may still go up. I mean, the way the Dow looks tonight. So I'm just saying, guys, like I'm giving you guys some really good advice here. Okay, you don't need to be bottom fishing bearish ETF, triple ETFs. You have to wait for the breakout. There's plenty of time. There will be a pullback. There's always a pullback. You buy the pullback. And then you don't have to worry about, oh my God, is it going to go lower? Is it going lower? Okay, next one is this Geomega Resources. This one was tough to do, but I believe it's got more upside coming. It's, again, 3 waves. So when this is finished, it can go to 0. It may never come back again. It's in the final push higher. Based on what I can see, it looks like you have 5 up. You pull back in B. You have about to make 5 here, right? And then you should peak in 1, correct, and go higher. Now, this 5 may not happen. If that doesn't happen, it will double correct in B. So that's the problem with buying these kind of stocks with these kind of charts, these corrective sequences. AAV played out exactly as expected. We got almost to the box by a few pennies. It got rejected hard. Obviously, ending the cycle. I can draw the trend line here. Easy break. So our next target is at 526. So as long as you're below this level at 1317, I would expect more downside. It's playing out just as we had anticipated. Okay, Now this could be 5 and it could rally again and go down. It could even be a 1 2 1 2. So you can, we can just chart the waves from here on out until it can come back and take that high out and invalidate this idea. Then we are expecting a real irregular connector here, real confusing pattern, and then eventually coming out of it. If we can break this high, well, then the low is in and it's just going higher. But it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's a corrective wave. That's why we anticipated the turn here, and that's why we have the count the way we have it. So pretty straightforward, guys. Pretty straightforward. All right, lights. Let's look at light here. Light here. Let's see here. Light. All right. Pretty parabolic, obviously. Damn, look at that thing. All right, so let's look at the higher time frames. No divergence on the monthly. It should make eventually bearish divergence on the monthly. You just took this out. This is what I'm saying, guys. So if you were trading this back here, you would have said, oh, what's the count? Well, look, the way the peak is here. See how it finally took the peak out? That's what's going to happen. And see, now you know you're in 3. This is a 3. Now it's in 4. So I think you have wave 4 happening now. It looks like you have a wave 4 happening. And now you just have to, wait here. Let's take a look at this again. Just kind of a quick glance at it. I didn't really see the subdivisions that I wanted to see here. 1, 2. I'm only seeing 3 waves. I'm only seeing 3 waves up to here. I don't see a 5th wave. So we're going to have to call it, again, we only label what we see, not what we wish it to be. So we're going to have to call this moving in 3 waves. If that's the case, then that's peaked. So this is a very tough situation for the chart because we know some instruments move in 3 waves. It's rare, and if it does, that means it'll have a deeper pullback before it can move up higher again. And that means you would not get divergence at this peak, which is what we are seeing now. So very, very tough. And it does, so, looking at this, through that lens, that looks like A and B. Yeah, I mean, this looks like 3 waves. It's moving in 3 waves. So with that being said, I would expect more downside. Now the thing is, though, if you can come out and take this peak out, then it's going to pump even further in another WXY within that leg. It will do something like this, go even higher. So I would suspect the cycle's over, okay? And you're in X now, and that's going to take quite a while, and there's way too many patterns that it can turn into to guess. Looking at this, it looks like you have an A, a B, and then a C. It looks like it's turning into some kind of, let's look here one more time. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to put the top here. And then that looks like to me 3 waves down. So it's starting its journey lower, and you made a lower low, right? A failed cycle. Now, can you still be an X? Sure. But I would say anything below 402 is just worth shorting it, until the time being, because you could be at a major peak here. So, I would say that it may just break down from here, may not pump anymore, but I think it's likely the peak. Let me take another look. Let me just make sure I got the peak right. So, something like this right now, and then it will just take time as it moves in 3 waves, but I'd be very careful hoping for more upside after a move like this, and it does look like it's only moving in 3 waves. All right, Bitcoin top January 25. Now we're completing C wave of a flat. Any possibility? So there is a count, I think you may be alluding to, that Bitcoin's completed like a grand super cycle top or something. Let me see here. You're going back to January 25. Let me see where we were here. Okay, January 25, and it's a flat. It's not a flat flat again, per my system, because we see 5 waves up from this low. If it was a flat, you would need to see 3. So if we would have peaked here, then the idea of a flat would be sound using my system. But because I see 5 swings, 5 waves, that negates the flat idea in my book. So no flat. Now, could it be a flat here off of this peak, right? Right, could that be a flat? Well, then you're only topping in 3 waves, so that won't work. So this was the only count that worked, right? That works, and this is the count we'll go with for now. And it does look like it's starting to break down. I warned people in Bitcoin that daily cycle, you need to watch it, right? And as it breaks, and we just broke, now the next leg lower may have started. And despite any little bounce or pump they may try to orchestrate here. Now it's going against the current of the daily cycle and the monthly cycle. Okay, let's look at the weekly cycle. The weekly cycles is starting to elbow down now too, but it hasn't ended. So you have the daily and monthly cycle working against you if you're trying to buy it on the shorter time frames. So if you're brave enough to buy on the shorter time frames, you better just be scalping. That's all I'm saying. But I wouldn't even bother here, because you're at a critical moment where you could just have a big candle and you can get caught up in that liquidation candle, which you don't know, and that can happen at any moment, without notice, especially in crypto. So Bitcoin is kind of in a very dangerous position right now, even if it may do like a little choppiness, because it's still trying to get people to buy it. Any possibility X looks similar to an XRP? Well, I mean, the thing about all your altcoins, again, pick your favorite altcoin. It has to hold that flash crash low. So whatever pullback we're going to get, that low has to hold to keep the technical structure, the chart in place based on what I've seen. So we're looking at XRP. That's probably finished, probably in W now. It's probably in X. Now that could be X right there. And then you could just finish this thing off, or you could still, chop around in X. Now, XRP is likely to hold this low because it's created a lot of space for it to correct. Now, this other one, I don't know this one off the top of my head. I'll have to look at it here, see if we can find it. This one is not. Let's see here. Is this it? Yeah, SUI. Let me see where we're at with this. Bigger picture. We have 5 up, 3 up, 1, 2. Yeah, see, we're running. We already broke this low. So this turned into a connector here on an ABC. Let me look. Let me see what's going on with this. Obviously, double corrected. So let's take a look where we got going on here. So we have a double correction. We have 5 waves up. It looks like 3 waves down and 5 waves up again. So this is some kind of ABC. So more than likely this is some kind of ABC connector, right? 5, B5, a zigzag. And then this obviously some kind of A. So it turned into pretty much like a zigzag correction, right? And then you just need 5 waves down from here. And that gets you to 91 cents. So, little different. What's interesting is I don't really see a flash crash like low in this. So I'm not sure if this was immune to that catastrophe in the altcoin space or not. But looking at this pulling back, it looks like that's probably 4 here. But let's see if we can label it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. And then 1, 2. We'll just kind of we'll just keep labeling this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Something like that. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. Something like that. So that's SUI USD. This one has a clear buy entry, a buy point because of this 3 wave, clear 3 waves. and it looks, let's see here. Always like to check the higher time frames. It's a little bit impulsive. I would have liked it a little bit more, but it is enough to diverge at the top to call it a 5, to call that 4 and 5. So yeah, I mean, that's the idea. That's the idea. So we'll see if it happens. Okay, let's go back and take a look. Next, AI analyst guy here. Thanks for putting the YouTube transcripts on the free videos. Would you also turn off for all member? Can someone put in the comments how to do that? If I did that in the free videos, it was completely because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not sure how to do that. So if I did that, it was just kind of either a default setting or I accidentally did it. But I'm happy to do it for my members, of course. So just someone can tell me how to do it. I'll do it. All right, we can look at the monthly trend line on oil. We'll look at that in a minute. Indo. Oh, is that right? Indo. Israel attacked Iran drone production in 2022 Feb. So there you go. Okay, thanks for getting that answer. I mean, are we surprised it went to $80? So obviously, Indo is a massive play against Iran. Like it's like a super duper call. It's like a zero-date option for war with Iran. So if you own Indo, you got to be praying for Trump to be bombing Iran or something, because if Israel bombed Iran and it went to 80, God knows if the U.S. bombs Iran, what it will go to. So yeah, I mean, that's the play. That's what I see. That's how that stock behaves. Indo loves to run when Iran's under pressure. Okay, that's what it loves to do. So it must be some kind of alternative supplier that, you know, if the Middle East goes down, that everyone will flood to or something. All right. All right, Tilray. Let's take a look at Tilray. Let's take a look at Tilray here, guys. And, you know, the problem we've got is a couple problems. We've got the market working against us now, but we also know we have this gap in MSOS. So I still suspect this kind of dump here. I think we'll know how it opens on Tuesday, how it trades tomorrow, and then I'm optimistic and hopeful the technical structure will hold up, and there will be no more sell. You know, that it would shake everyone out and then run. So that's the idea, and that's what we're going with. But if this low breaks, we've talked about what that means. It means it's a bigger connector. We would have to label the low here. We'd have to go A, B, C, right? There would be no other count. That's why we would do that. And then this would be 5 down. So this would be A, and then B here. And that would be C, and this would be 1, 2, and then you have 3, 4, 5. And then you're looking to come back down to this $4 area. We talked about this already. So, and then it could still rally to new highs. So it could still hit this 489. So we are, I think it's likely to come down like this. We're hopeful that it breaks, doesn't break these lows, but we also have to keep an open mind in mind. And then the next level is 489. Okay, that's how Tilray is going to go down. If we can, once this leg is over, once we could come back and break this high here, I'm going to draw this. Once we can break 1013, then I believe the bear case for this type of move is over, and it should just start to run again. So I think right now the bears are still trying to shake out weekends and people that lack the conviction, and people who, you know, got chased it and they're jammed up in it. So I do think this is kind of what the look is. Now, bigger picture, we do have 5 waves going for us on this. So it's likely to see another wave higher at least. So that's the thing. And then I think there's a lot of higher highs, you know, all over this chart. So I think it should recover. You know, it's just this is where I see it at the moment. Okay, please do that. Let me just read through these comments. YouTube studio content, click the video. I'm just going to screen capture what you're writing. I'll go back in and do that later. Okay, I'll go back in and do that later, and do that. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure. I want to make sure I get this and I'll do that after this. Yeah, it must have just been an accident or something. Like, I mean, I wouldn't accident. I wanna do things to make things easier on everyone. I want to do things so if that makes things easier. So that's why if you know, feedback like this is helpful for everybody, right? Early in my channel, I used to get a lot of feedback about things, and so I did act on a lot of that feedback. However, you know, don't get a lot of feedback, which is good. That means people are happy. However, you know, if there's any feedback, that's good to know. Some feedback I'm looking for is pro group. I think AMC has kind of run its course. I'm looking for new ideas, new symbols to cover. That would be interesting. So anyone that's a pro member, I'd be interested to hear, you know, what stock we want to maybe replace with AMC, as it just continues to not really give any opportunities. There's probably better ideas, and I can think of some, but I'd rather hear what you have and would want, you know, for people that are members that would benefit from. Just I'll throw that out there. Okay, so, but yeah, I don't have Discord or nothing like that because of different my personal situation. But maybe in the future that will change. And I do have a website for those of you that don't know, and I've been working on it. It's ewsage.com, and I more than likely will put a chat room for members on that, a live chat room. But that's a future addition as I build out the regular web page. But you can go there and see it's a lot different than it was, you know, several months ago. I've been working on it. All right. If I was playing the cannabis stocks right now, it all depends on my entry, to be honest with you. I mean, if my entry is no position, what I would personally wait to do is do nothing and wait for the cycle to end, a clear reaction higher, like we talked about in the bearish ETFs. So like I would wait for a clear move higher, no matter the price. It could be here. I could see something like this. Maybe it's a little later, or maybe it's even lower, but I would wait for that type of move, and then I would just buy the first pullback against wherever that low is. And if, let's say it's already here, let's say we get that move here and we break, then I probably just buy that first pullback around 10. If I had no position. If I had a position up here, right, you know, I would probably, if we broke 699, this level, I would stop out. I would just leave it because it could just go lower. It could, hell, it could even break these lows, right? So it could get worse. So that's personally how I would trade it. If I was jammed up here, I would just use this as my absolute get out and take the loss, and then wait for the same thing, wait for the reaction, and then maybe I could try to get back in on it later on the pullback. If I bought a position down here when we first cover it, I would just hold because I would have already took some profit, and I would just hold through this. That's how I would personally trade. But like I said, do what's best for you. It all depends on where you are. And then it also depends on how much money you have in this relation to your other stocks. Like if I'm trading this, I may have over 20 open positions. This is 1/20th of a position. So this, to me, I could take a loss a lot easier than I could if it was only like one of 3 positions, right? Which is never something I recommend either. So all those things factor into that decision. And that's why it's such a personal, you know, thing to say when to sell. That's why when everyone's like, when should I sell? I just don't know. Like, there's so much information I would need to know to give you that. And then I'm not really allowed to say anyway. Like you said, I'm not allowed to say when to sell. So that's all I can do is kind of like give you a couple scenarios, 3 scenarios like that. and then you can decide how to process that information and make a decision, right? And that's all I can say until right. All right. So anyway, I'll make sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and I did turn off all the comments because they were like my channel for some reason just really triggered a group of people early in my early when I started. I don't know if it was competitors. I don't know if it was like I was like sacrilegious against the Elliott Wave, practitioners out there, and they were just so offended by what I was doing. Because let's just face it, my charts aren't the prettiest, and I do that on purpose because I'm trying to cover many symbols, and we're not really here for pretty charts. We're here for more the trades, not chart. The symbols are there, but I'm not. And some people hate that, so I got a lot of hate. And then of course the information, like if it goes against the mainstream view, people want to attack, and it's just was insane. It was insane. It's not. It's definitely way different now, a lot better. And even when I started my subscription service, I found a lot of early members wanted quick pumps, and when they didn't get it, they were really super pissed. But they didn't understand my system, so I had to put out videos that I have now for anyone thinking of joining that talks about my system and everything, and that's free. It's in my playlist. You can watch it so you can understand if this is a system for you or not for you before you join. Because if you are looking for a quick pump, if you're a call, I want to buy calls tomorrow and make, I'm not that's not my system, and you're going to be frustrated, and then you won't be happy. So I had to blow out all those people, and they finally left, and now everything's pretty calmed down. So maybe we'll slowly add back comments, slowly add back, some interactive, features besides the live streams and my X. But if you do need to get a hold of me, I get my X DMs, I read them all, and so that's another way you can communicate with me. There is an email address that you can email me at admin at ewsage.com, and I read those, and that's through my website. And some people email me that have figured that out. So there's ways to talk to me outside of the video, So there's ways. And eventually, more time I spend on this, I'll be able to do like, live chats and things like that, which is as the website grows, and I get time, and as I'm working on it. Okay, let's see. I got another question here. Beyond, yeah, how's that one doing? How's Beyond doing? Beyond Meat. Yikes. Let's take a look. So we're watching this corrective structure try to work its course. So let's take a look here. Okay, so there's your W, there's an X, and now you're starting your next leg lower. So right away again, I'm using RSI as a guide to help us label something like that, and just kind of looking at it real quick. So 1, 2, 3 connector, 1, 2, 3. So that's your WXY. So something like this. So it looks like it's about to have its kind of its capitulation moment, and hopefully it survives. Hopefully it survives. Remember, some stocks go bankrupt. Equity holders lose everything. Okay, and there's usually no warning when they decide to do that, except for a few people know. So just we'd be really careful in it right now. Okay. All right. Next is that's it. So I think we've got everything here. I'll put on those subtitles in a minute, and we'll just take a quick look. Like I said, I just kind of do the live stream here. This if news is driving this sell-off, it's kind of a comical thing for me. If investors and people out there, the 401k day traders, read a tweet from Trump and go, oh my God, I got to sell because he's going to go attack Greenland or whatever, or he's going to put tariffs on. if that's why we're selling, is crazy. So to me, that's not the reason we're selling. So if anything, people know Trump by now. It's a negotiation tactic, and the markets will create too much pain, or it's intentional to get people to concede, which is already starting to happen. And so if the news is really if the sell is really driven by the news, by people really sell, they're going to reverse and they're going to buy it back up again. But I don't think that's it. I think it's structural in nature. I think silver's put in pressure. The metals are put in pressure on the market, on the financial system, the higher they go. That's a factor. It's forcing people that are maybe short these metals to sell things that are more valuable to them to cover those short positions, like stocks. And then also it's interest rates rising, starting to rise, getting uncomfortably high again. And then the VIX is too oversold. So people want to buy protection, but there's no more sellers of protection because it's so sold down. There's no one left to sell. So to buy it, there's an air pocket upward. There's like, it's like just like going to launch you upward because there's no sellers to sell volatility. So it's like a structural thing happening here more than Trump's tariff. That's just like noise in the system. So to me, Trump's tariff is just like something silly to even try to think that that's going to drive the market somewhat. That's just noise. It's irrelevant to me. What's is higher rates. It's the VIX oversold nature. It's silver and the metals hitting a critical tipping point. But let's just face it, guys. Every smart trader was short in here supposedly, and now they're all underwater. And they're praying it's going to go back down. If this hits 100, they're all blown up and they're going to have to squeeze out. I put a video out that said what happens at silver at 120. It could really pressure the financial system because of that situation, and that could be the reason for the sell-off. So just understand that we're getting close to those levels, those kind of levels, if this continues. So that's the dynamic going on. Add to that the dollar index if it breaks out, which it's still kind of 50-50, I still think it's going higher. If this happens, that will pressure the market. Eventually pressure in metals. The Japanese yen eventually will peak. Once that strengthens, that will pressure the market. But it's not quite there yet. So that's the reason we sell off. It has nothing to do with Trump and what he's tweeting or not tweeting. That's just like a distraction. And I hope no one that listens to me reads a tweet like that and goes, oh my God, I better sell because tariffs are coming back on, or oh my God, he's going to invade Greenland and we'll be World War III with Europe and the end of NATO. I better sell stocks. Like that's what they want. I mean, that is not a good thing to do. That's why the news is just totally there manipulating people. The reason we're selling off is the market's too overbought. And all those things I said. That's the reason. And really the VIX too. The VIX is way oversold. It needs a massive correction. This cycle on the UVIX, this cycle that goes has not really gone uncorrected. That's got to correct. And that's going to really, really wash out the market when it happens. Think August 2024. Okay, and that's one of those you just wake up on a Monday and it's already over and your VIX is up, 200-300%. And we don't know the catalyst. Last time it was the yen carry trade or the yen strengthened too fast. It may be the same thing. We don't know. But more than likely, these news bites is not going to do it. Okay, it's not going to do it. Now, I will say this: if there is a war with Europe, some crazy situation, and people are shooting at each other on Greenland, and you have soldiers dying in Europe, that would definitely scare the market and bring it to its knees quickly. That's a black swan. But again, it's not selling off because of that. It's selling off because there's no bid left. Everyone bought. There's no one to buy. There's no liquidity to sell into, and that's the reason. So there's nobody to hold the market up as everyone's long. So that's the air pocket type situation, and I don't think it'd ever come to that, right? I don't think so. So anyway, that's what I see going on right now in the market. So just I think we'll see where it goes. All right, guys. Good night. That's all I've got. Good luck or good morning if you're out in Asia. Thanks again for listening, and let's see